It's been there for a long time. This is
You are
massive beam.
the new.
I am the new.
I kind of like this odd wall, wooden wall. It's laying
There we go.
that blocks off the staircase.
So you're only one shot of an actual.
Almost. Pam is going to be, hopefully Pam will be put in for the next.
Yeah, totally.
So we can almost feel it.
Then you can take the bait off.
Sure.
Not me.
Yeah. Sure.
I'm in.
I wouldn't do that.
Good evening, my name is John Whitehart. I'm the first chair of the Wiscasset Historic Commission. And I am about to call this meeting to order at 5 o'clock on 7th June. And I would like to have our commissioners introduce themselves, starting with Wendy.
I'm Wendy Donna.
Gordon Contrast.
Leslie Roberts.
And I'd like to introduce you all to Leslie Roberts, who is our newest.
Thank you.
So be kind to her.
Thank you.
Don't throw things at her.
Not yet.
And if you do, I just want you to know this is on YouTube Live. So whatever you do here is going to go down in history. I'd like to have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from May 17th, 2019.
Having read the minutes, I move that the minutes be accepted as written.
Second, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes for May 17th. All those in favor, please show your right hand. That's your first vote. Good, we're going to get right into Certificate of Appropriateness Review. And Steve, if you'd like to bring up, why don't you bring up that dais right here, and you can sort of stand by that.
Lean it back, pull it back towards you so that it rolls.
Thank you.
Okay, in fact, you can just leave it there.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, can we leave it here? Sure, why not?
So Steve, explain what you're doing and why you're doing it and what we can look forward to.
Well, initially, I think we're testing our sanity for anyone who knows at home. The goal is to restore it, make it handsome again. I think to put in the simplest words as possible. As far as details, what we're mostly concerned with here is the exterior. There's a considerable amount of neglect, hence rot. Under sheathing, we have powdery corner posts that need to be replaced, but of course this will all be hidden. What you will see, what we're proposing is removing all the clapboards that are existing, which were installed improperly as it is, so they need to come off. There's none original, and replacing those with hardy plank, pre-finished clapboards. Do have a couple of samples if anybody needs to see those. We haven't dealt with them before. The trim.
I believe we have done it before.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Jim Cochin's house.
Down the street appears to, yes, yes. Okay, so those would be pre-finished. Again, in the color, we're not certain, but I don't believe we're beholden to a certain color realm, are we?
No,
We
we
certainly
don't deal with colors. We just hope that you
Okay.
have really good taste.
So we have really good taste. Yeah, we do. And we're kicking around really good taste on 4 different colors at the moment, and we agreed on a color, and then we're back to the one that we like. But we're somewhere in something that would be as correct as we could. Some kind of a deep red, perhaps a dusky blue. I think we're down to that at this point.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, okay, but it certainly won't be anything garish or
Yeah, if it's within the historical,
Palette, let's say.
frame, and I know that I like to see different colors.
Yes.
And I'm more or less into the Victorian world. And I know that the earlier times,
Mhm.
they really didn't have the benefit of, having a whole multitude of different colors.
True,
So the
true.
white, the white is pretty good,
Yep.
the red,
Yeah.
Ochre.
Dusty boot bay blue, as a lot of companies call it, which we thought we were gonna use, but then we noticed that, just past the Masonic Hall, or just before it, our neighbor has that, and we don't wanna do the same color to make the street, look too similar. So, the next would be the exterior trim, and I can find virtually nothing that is original, unfortunately. All I could find original on that home were some of the window box, the window frames, and there's some yellow and blue and brownish paints that are incredibly old in there, but I can't find anything else that's really original on the exterior. So the trim is going to be replaced with AZAC, which is a composite material. We're going to be using all 5/4 and 6/4 stock. There will be no 3/4 inch stock. We're going to replace all the window sills, which will be historic, so they'll be large and they'll stand very proud on the windows. The storm windows are coming off, the aluminum storms, and they will not be put back on. I'd rather have those window sash stand kind of proud. Right now, they're true divided light 6/6, but they're not original to the home. They actually have rubber gaskets. I'm sure they're a Brosco, Brockway Smith Company window that's probably 20 years old or so at this point. But in terms of aesthetics, they do look pretty good once they're finished up, and they have true divided light, single strength glass. Eventually, the plan is to make large storm windows that can hang, and that will be covered in the winter. So we'll have a really nice look on that. I think that's it. Oh, the roof, obviously, we're gonna go with asphalt, black, as black as we can get them. And they'll be architectural asphalts.
Do you know whether there were any gutters there, when it first started?
Well, there are gutters that are ugly vinyl, new, that are hideous. The gutter that the trim that I thought was trim, that was actually a crown molding, is a gutter that was covered with lead. They probably started to rot out, so they flashed them with lead and covered it with that.
From what period do you feel that particular house
Well,
comes from?
we've been told 1796, but there is some confusion because a federal typically is rather rigid in its standards. 5 windows across the top, the 4 in the bottom, and the doorway is in the center. We've got this extra 9 feet or so over here on the right. The house measures 41 by 19 deep, so the 19 deep is original, but we've got this extra space to the right where they moved the windows. My understanding is, and we just told us by a new friend here, Steve, too, that a number of the support beams came over from the Garrison house that are part of the structure of that house. And I just wonder if perhaps that's when they extended that house and made it a little longer. In the cellar, there is sort of a false wall that may be made out of bricks, ballast bricks, possibly, because there's another wall about 3 feet beyond it.
Yeah, it would make sense with the ballast brick, since we were, this was
Yeah.
a very active, thriving seaport.
Yeah, and they're very powdery too. You go like this and they just kind of like fall apart.
Yeah.
Right. And they're floating, the whole wall is floating too.
Yeah.
Trying to see what's behind it.
Have you had a chance to go to upstairs to the library,
We did, we got lost for about 2 hours in that room.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did, and we had a lot of fun, but finding 20 Fort Hill is a difficult prospect. Although we have a couple of leads right now through our conversation.
Good.
It seems that the interesting pieces on Fort Hill were a tiny house next to us, or the schoolhouse, which is now the lodge, or the church, which has the clock,
Which is a clock, yeah.
used to be the Garrison house. And all those pictures were taken from right in front of our house, so there's no
Yeah.
photographs. So there's no photographs of this cool old 1796 federal.
Yeah. Well, neat. It
Well,
sounds
yeah.
like you're having fun.
Well, yeah. I'm having a ball. I'm having a ball. Yeah, this is great. It's my skill set, and I haven't been doing it for 8 or 9 years, so I'm really happy to be doing it.
Good.
Yeah.
And you've got, from what I do understand, you have a lot of background in the,
I do. I claim to.
restoration work.
Yes. I did it for about 27 years.
Anybody else would like to ask any questions or thoughts?
I will add this. We are more than open to listening to any guidance. If anybody wants to come by and say, you really don't want to make it this color, we'll consider that. Or just point us in some directions as far as research and the
Point
house is
in the
concerned.
direction of what you're just saying, and I'm not sponsoring product, but I've learned over the years that if you're looking for colors at periods and matches that go with them that are historically correct, Sherwin-Williams, their books, their antique home books,
Yes.
have,
Okay.
they're about as correct for periods as any that run across.
Great. Okay,
So,
good.
I mean, if
That would be a
you picked the
resource.
date and you said you wanted to look at 1800 or 1805 or 1790 something, you can go there and get some ideas of colors that were actually being used at the time, and the matching
Yes.
trim colors,
Yes.
if you would, that would or may have gone with them.
At this point, our goal is, in using the AZEC trim, is that it is white, and we will not be painting it, because, further maintenance certainly isn't something that we look forward to. And having used that before, I see that it's pretty compliant to the eye. It's very difficult to tell that it's not just a really well-painted piece of wood, as opposed to, let's say, vinyl siding, which usually you can pick up on right away. And the clapboards, by the way, would be smooth, no grains, none of that stuff.
That works.
I do have a quick question though about the roof. I'm considering in the back of the house putting a small roof vent, because this is a hip roof and it has no soffit. So we only have a ridge vent on the top, and I need to get some airflow. Do you have any feelings about putting perhaps a 20-inch by 20-inch vent in the roof that would be at the back of the home, so it wouldn't be visible from the street?
Not a problem.
Not a problem. Okay, great.
I don't think so either. I think you are a professional within your own field. And I think if you need to have that, and also thank you for asking us.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think that, if you do any type of changes, amendments, just like you put on this new addendum,
Yes.
just let us know.
Okay, very good.
And, because I don't think there's anything that you're looking at, or you're doing right now. I think you're doing, that's going to be a real pleasure to see that.
Oh, I
It's
hope so.
beautiful,
I think
beautiful
so.
house. It's gonna be
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, thanks.
And as I said before, with people doing these things, all we need to know is, when the welcoming party is going to be.
Yes. We figure it's gonna be about 5 years from August. Although we could have an outdoor party, I'm sure, in the fall.
And
Yeah,
that's great.
excellent. Good, thank you.
Good.
I just had something I wanted
Sure.
to touch on. Preservation Maine is a really great source. If you haven't already found them, they have a really great website, a list of recommended suppliers, vendors, craftspeople. And if you want someone to come out from Preservation Maine and give you some consultation, they actually will come. You have to schedule them, and it's a fee to
Yes.
have them come, but they'll come and walk through your place and look it up and down and maybe give you some information that you didn't have before.
I think I bookmarked them at some point, but didn't get back to it. And yesterday, the day before, when we were in the library, I believe I saw a rather thick synopsis of recommendations and a visit to a home that was done through them, and it was very thorough.
They have a great website, and
Yeah,
they have
Preservation
blogs. Generally every month, they'll have some really interesting historic house blogs, so
Oh, good.
you might like
Another
their
good resource.
website. And then to add to the color recommendation conversation, Castle Tucker, when they open up for tours, they have some books for sale and they sell a really nice palette of colors from California Colors. And they also have a really beautiful series of historic paints. So if you're swinging by Castle Tucker
Sure.
when they're open, you may want to check it out.
Sure, we took the great tour last weekend.
It's a lot of
I'll
fun.
check out their books too. Great. Thank you.
Also, if you run into lengths of wood that are completely out of shape, remember the story that I told you the other day about the mills. We do have a lot of,
Yes.
private mills that
Yes.
are very, very inexpensive.
Yeah, exactly.
There also is a source of wooden gutters out there, and they're very expensive.
Oh, yeah. The last wooden gutters I installed was on the gatekeeper's cottage of Highland Light in Truro when I was doing an exterior job there. And they were not cheap. And this was 15 years ago at least. Yeah, I hate to think of it now. That's one case where aluminum might work.
Yeah. Well, that's
Around the back.
Again, what we've been saying is that ask.
Absolutely.
I'm sure everybody loves to give opinions and thoughts around here, especially when they see something beautiful going in.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, any more comments? Wendy, would you like to add
I think
your
we've covered it.
architectural?
I mean, I could throw some more paint. I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
what we use
yeah,
for paint,
no.
but there are lots of resources for.
Absolutely. And just in a nutshell, our goal is to make this house look as authentic as possible using some modern means. And, using stock that isn't flimsy, that's thick and hefty and gives it that nice, proud standing look.
Good. Well, we'll take a picture from the other side this time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for sure.
Good, wait a minute, we have to
Oh, we have
vote
to
on it.
approve.
You just can't walk out. Okay, I will entertain a motion to accept this COA by Steve Barnett, 20 Fort Hill.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and move to accept as written.
Okay, is there a second?
I will second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded to accept this COA. All those in favor? 4-0. Thank you.
Great. Can I interject one thing?
Sure.
That I should point out, which you will appreciate. When Joan and I were first visiting the coast and deciding that we were going to be looking for a home here, one of the reasons we did Wiscasset was because when the realtor said, hey, we've got a historic commission here, I said, that's great. That's important to us, that there is some kind of standards and that there is some input from a commission. So, for what that's worth, that was
Oh, it's
important to
worth a
us.
lot.
It was important. It was important to us that it
I can ask a
existed.
few people that we know very, very close.
That it officially exists was important.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And your check will be in the mail.
Wine and eggs, wasn't that what it was?
For eggs. Good, all right. Ms. Morgan.
Well,
Deborah
I'm not
Morgan is-
restoring a beautiful old home, but I already have a beautiful old home.
Deborah Morgan is 210 Main Street. And why don't you go ahead and tell us what you would like to do?
Well, I was very fortunate to get this house. I did not think there was any way I could get a home like this. Retired college professor from Georgia, theater at that, so. But I happened to catch Dennis Raleigh at a good, bad time, maybe for him, I don't know, but a really good time for me. And I am thankful every day and amazed that I'm living in this house.
It's a great house.
And like my neighbor here, I was very glad. I heard, the historic commission, I was really glad because I live in the village and I wanted to, that's why, it's a place you really want to live, so you want it to always look good. I just want to build a fence, let's around the backyard. I have it down there, and I brought the gentleman who is actually going to build the fence right here, Rick Hayward. He's going to to build the fence. I have a Jack Russell that can jump over things, so it has to be a certain height. And then I have a Shelby Border Collie mix that can go under, between. So it has to be, I want it to look perfect. I am the inheritor of the 2 previous owners' commitment to that home. And I feel it's my job to keep up the good work. We initially wanted the white cedar, but because of the trade something or other that's going on with Canada right now, that is, how much? Yeah.
25% tariff. on-
Really? Has that increased in the past 6 months?
I think it's been in the last 6 months or so, yeah.
Yeah, gee whiz,
Mm.
not surprised.
So we're going with white pine.
Okay.
And I would like to let it age, a nice silver,
Mhm.
and picket fence. I don't know if you know Ethel's house over there on Pleasant Street, but I like, it's just very simple but sturdy fence to keep my dogs safe.
Mhm. Okay. Leslie, you've had interest with fences, haven't you?
Yes, but not in a great way, so.
Not in a great way.
I have too much to say, but it sounds like sounds like she's got the right attitude and sounds like.
Well, Rick has lived in a small town in Massachusetts and has done a lot of historical preservation, and he just sort of fell into my lap. I was like, wow. He was recommended to me by someone, and he accepted me.
Well, that's nice. Looking at your COA, I think we need more of a picture rather than a hand-colored, a handmade picture. We need something that we can look at and see. And that's because this is going to be, open to the neighbors and the abutters too. You drew the pictures on the COA, and I've got, the fences come in a lot of different styles, and I'm just trying to.
It's just going to be incredibly plain.
Oh, yeah.
I still got a picture.
And what date is your house?
1820.
1820.
Has a birthday in 2 years.
Usually I use that as an idea of what the fence style is going to be, because that fence is going to be seen by people going, as I can recall.
Yeah, that's the first house you see as you come around that circle, that curve, and you see that house.
Yeah.
And it's a beauty.
Well, the fence is in the back of the house.
In the
It's
back.
not along the side.
It's on
or-
Summer Street.
It's on Summer Street. It's really going to face Summer Street.
Some street.
Yeah.
It's a very basic picket fence. It doesn't have, it's square at the top, square at the bottom, 4-inch pickets with a similar space in between.
With a 4-inch space between?
With a 3.5 to 4-inch space.
3.5, okay. Yeah.
2 rails, very, very simple fence. Running from post to post, as opposed to covering the post, in front of the post.
Mhm.
Capped post?
Yeah, what about the caps and the gate?
I'm sorry?
Caps on the posts?
The one we were looking at did have caps. Hadn't planned on it, to be honest. Very vanilla looking, simple. But if somebody wants caps, we certainly put caps on it.
It needs caps? We'll put caps.
The pickets are flat. They're not your Home Depot round. Like
Square post?
we always call it my wife and I call it the fence of contention. Doesn't look like that at all.
Square post?
Square post, yeah.
Square post, I think with caps,
I think
fluted were
with some open shape and.
shape caps, you know,
Yeah.
something.
Like a pyramid sort of?
Yeah,
And yeah, like a little flat.
Yeah.
A flat cap with another small square on top of that.
yeah.
And it looks on the proposed fence picture that we have drawn, that there looks like there's a gate. Is there a gate?
There's a gate, when you pull into the driveway, there's a little,
Okay, there's a driveway right prior.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Now I'm
And the
good.
gate is right from the driveway into the house. There's a pathway.
And then if you were looking at the back of your house, over on the right, there's another fence? Yeah, I see, okay.
There's the gentleman's house next to me. He already has a fence
Yeah.
there. That separates the properties. And so that fence is existing.
Is that like an old fort fence that's all closed? Or is it,
The gentleman behind me,
yeah.
no, it's a plastic fence.
It's plastic fence. Unfortunately, that was put up before the commission for
Yeah.
me. Okay. Have you talked to the abutters, to your neighbors?
The city sent everything out,
Mm-hmm.
and I have not heard anything.
I think back. Well, we do have a gentleman representing one of your neighbors.
Oh, good.
Steve, you want to come up and?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Steve Christensen, and I'm the boyfriend of your neighbor, Jody Elwell, who lives in 19, the next house down from
Oh,
you.
yeah, okay.
And her question is this, and I will have some questions myself afterwards. There's that rock wall that's between you and her, and she is saying that she does not, is that wall,
That wall stays as far as I'm concerned.
okay, is the fence gonna run along that?
Just, not along the whole driveway, literally just to where the grass is.
Because when I look at your sketch, and I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but it's sketchy at best. And don't take that, I look at this sketch, you got a fence that's running down Summer, running into your driveway, then.
No, and it does not go there. That is
doesn't?
wrong. That does not go there. It stops right where the driveway is. It doesn't go down.
It doesn't go towards.
No. That's all wrong.
Okay, so.
That was,
So I think you may have to point that out, just what you just told me, that where it's not running, as opposed to what the sketch is showing. The sketch is showing it's running on the backside of Jody's house, which is 19 Summer.
Yeah, it's not on the house, it's
No, it's
there's
not.
a stone wall.
There's a stone wall there.
And it'll be on this side of this stone wall.
but it's not even going to go because there's this much grass between the stone wall and driveway. So, when I did this, I was not thinking, quite frankly. And so that is not going to be there. It's going to stop.
Where's it gonna stop? Kind of at the end of you come into the driveway, here it is now. It's coming-
Right.
It's gonna
It's
run
going to
along.
come right there and it's going to stop right there at the back.
Okay, and is this gonna be connected from here? Is this gonna be fenced over?
Yes, we're going to put the fence right there. He has those, what do you call that fence that he has there?
It's a stockade fence.
Stockade fence. We didn't think it would look good, so we're going to take down the stockade fence and put,
It's the round post and rail. This one.
Yeah.
It's not
Okay.
stockade.
Oh, I call it stockade, you're right.
yeah, well, that's coming down.
Well, that was the question that Jody had, and Jody is working out of state. Matter of fact, she's gonna be home tomorrow for a day, and then she's going back to West Virginia. So I don't have to take her back, take her to the airport Sunday. So that was the question that she had. Now, can I go on with a further question on this?
Sure.
I'm looking at this and that the fence that's gonna run down Summer Street. You gotta remember, the width of Summer Street is 20 feet, from curb to curb, inside of the curb to inside of the curb. Where is this fence gonna run? Is it gonna run inside the, because she doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of space. Is it gonna run on the inside of the curb?
Has to.
Well, not to be, I work for the town as well. That is not gonna make it through a winter. That is gonna, and let me take it one step further, and I'm not trying to rain on anybody's parade.
No, but what would your suggestion be then?
I can't make a suggestion, I'm just saying what I see on the thing, and I talked to the code enforcement today, and I talked to the road commissioner today, because I'm thinking, you got this thing right against the curb,
We can set it back.
you know how far you get set
Well, she
back?
got little dogs.
Oh, listen, I'm not trying to be a wise guy.
No.
You know how far you gotta set it
You
back?
know something,
You gotta
no.
set it back 22 and a half feet from the center line. 22 and a half feet from the center line is gonna be to her side of her house. I measured it today.
Wow.
So, again, I am not trying to.
No, you don't have to keep on, you know, you're making a
All I'm doing is
comment that I
asking
think-
questions. I don't represent the town, I'm not representing anybody on this. I think somebody, either,
So there is an ordinance that says
Well-
fences have to be set so many feet from the center of the road.
then if you look at this, road boundaries, right here, and I can give you a copy of this. I'm no expert on this at all. I was just asking a question today from, you know, if the lady puts up a fence, the last thing you want to see is a plow come through in the wintertime, and if it's against that curb, guess what?
It's gonna get pushed.
It's gonna get pushed, it's gonna be toast.
Yeah.
And I understand her, and I love dogs. And I know she wants to keep her dogs in, because Jody has a dog as well. However, if it's against that curb, my God, the first time that plow comes down, then you get some heavy snows, it's going to collapse your fence. I'm not trying to scare you. Now, like I say, I asked Dan Walsh today, the code enforcement, I said, because I was more curious / nosy today. I'm thinking, all right, is there a setback from a road, center line of a road on a right of way? If you read these road boundaries things, you've got to go back like a rod and a half, which is 22 feet.
But is that saying for a structure or for a fence?
Well, it's talking about, line show. I think my concern is, you know, for Ms. Morgan here is maybe there's gonna be something on the form now. If you're gonna be doing something, you know, do you check with codes? Do you check with road commissioners and all this? So if there is this setback thing, it's not cool
Yeah.
on this particular one. If you go down the street from Jody's house down, Jody's the next house down, and you look at Don Jones's fence, for example, his boundary is almost to the edge of that curb. Same.
Inside?
Yeah, just past, and you notice that his
I'm not saying
fence
anything to that.
sits in. I think you really have got to look into this and before you go and.
I think so too.
I'm not seeing anything on what you're saying that says anything about what you're referring to.
Well, I'm just telling you that I've spoken to the code enforcement thing, and that's what they told me you've got to have that. I'm not trying to upset anybody, I'm just trying to, you know.
Variance or a waiver, put that fence to that mailbox within, 3 feet
That's on the right is already there.
of the street. So
But
I
it's the same idea,
think
isn't
that
it?
what
Like
she
the
needs
fences,
with this
like with a sidewalk.
Morgan needs is take her plan with the plot plans and show it, take it to Dan.
Yeah.
See if she's gonna need to get some kind of a variance. Yeah, the scope of the fence, the design of the fence. Yeah, one thing, we have no purview over, I would hate to see her put something
No, on the other side.
Get run over by a-
Ms. Morgan,
Yes,
I think Steve brought up a very good thing for you to know. I think you should go back to the inspector, to Stan, and have him walk through with you this. Now, we have had a fence put up, and we've had
Porch.
a porch that they did have a variance on. And so it's not an impossible thing that we're doing here. I think the statement that if you do put a fence up at that point, you certainly don't want to have it knocked down by the plows. And that's something that we would rather not see you get involved with. And what I think is important is that you need to get together with Stan, who is the inspector, and walk through this situation, explain to him what you want, and then.
I did that, and he didn't say anything. He said,
Yeah,
looks good."
that's the thing that, I knew that you had talked to him, and I'm not, explain what you said about the road and the porch.
The question came up, a house over down here off of Washington.
Shingle Alley, wasn't it?
No.
Oh, Bigfoot Alley, wasn't it?
No, that was an
Washington and
It was
One of those
Union.
streets that goes down the hill.
Union, I think at Union, it's very close. And they wanted to enlarge the porch
Oh, yes,
on
yes,
the
yes.
front of the house. And by the time they got done making the porch 3 foot wide from the house, it was like 2 foot from the street, and they still wanted to put a mailbox out there. And Stan, you know, and it gotta go. But I mean, you know, it seems like I would be hesitant to do something like that, knowing, you know, the snow conditions we get here, but that's not our purview to say yay or nay on it, but we feel that we need to bring it up, particularly if we see it as being a possible, you know, hazard, money cost, you know, lose it in, you know, the first snowplow.
And my, again, to go back, and my intent was not to come in here and.
No,
we're not doing that, Steve.
This is the intent.
Nobody's gonna take you out back and beat you up, Steve.
I'm gonna go back, won't be the first time.
Yeah, I think the fence will work the way that you got it, but the placement of the fence is what we are more concerned with right now.
But unfortunately, John, she's got such limited space there. I mean, she has no space between her curb and the side of her house, and I realize that, you know.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was bringing it up again is because I'm concerned about for anybody that's putting up any expense, you know, have that fence, and that
Yeah.
winters can be brutal.
Hey, Deborah, I have a
Yes,
question
ma'am.
for you. So is the fence going to start at the corner of the house and go around that big tree and then into the back?
Mhm.
Right, there isn't a lot of space. I can see what you're saying, Steve.
A couple of questions. First one would be, could we get an approval subject to the write-off from Steve? Or, second question is, could we get approval to make a modification tonight? As great as she is with her dogs, they are escape artists, and she's already had to chase them down the street a couple of times.
One.
So I'm anxious for her to have the fence so that we don't have a tragedy. So is either way we can work on this? Because my assumption is we can't do anything for another month now until there's another meeting. This is some compromise.
We could put it, yeah, I see what you're saying. I think we could probably work with that in mind. The one thing that I don't want to see is that, I think we solved the problem that the stone wall is not going to be gone.
Right.
Gone. That's good.
That's good.
Now we're talking about the placement of the fence. I have no objections, although I'm just one of four, of temporarily putting up the fence with the statement that you have to go see Stan and get that okay from him. And then within 2 weeks, that you will come back and show this as to what you're doing. And I think that would work out well, is to, help me out here, guys. Do you want to?
So are we saying that we'll meet, we can review and approve in 2 weeks instead of waiting an entire month? Is that what you're saying?
We can actually approve, but
We
then,
can approve it with the caveat that it is passed by the code enforcement officer or the same fence modified for a lesser, or greater setback from the street.
I'm gonna jump in here. I'm relatively comfortable with the description that you've given of the fence, but normally we would ask for a more specific description,
Right.
example of the caps or a picture or something.
That would be really helpful.
That's normally what we would
yeah.
request in
You wanna
this.
put it
I mean, I get what you're doing with your sketch, I get what you're doing with your,
I did
Well,
find
I'd
a
like to
picture
have
of
Okay.
the one that we're mimicking.
okay, that would work for me.
Yeah, me too.
In that case, I'd be good with your suggestion. That's relatively easy.
So we can fulfill her need and also put on the caveat that, we have to
Provided you
do
get
it.
it, run it
And
by Sam,
also,
make sure it's
once
not gonna
it's
get
up,
framed.
take some pictures for us.
Okay, let me ask you this. I had thought that down the road, because I am concerned that they have enough room, to get about. But once again, not go over or under. Of having the fence go along this whole side of the house and then fence in the front yard. Would that be something that you think you guys would consider down the road? No? That's a big no?
I'm not saying it.
I'm not saying
I'm
no.
thinking of it. I'm thinking of what you're saying.
It's not a very big front yard,
No,
is
it's
it?
No, it's
No,
not.
it's tiny.
That's what we're.
Okay.
That this.
That's what I was envisioning, I just wanted to
This
confirm.
Let me see.
house.
We'll hand your phone around and you might get it back.
But the word is
At the
shit.
closest, the front edge of the house.
And
the
those have
setback
the
of
circle
house
cap.
is-
Good,
I think
that's-
it's close to the street, as you could.
This is
know.
what-
Yeah.
How tall is the fence going to be, Deborah?
I need it to be 4 feet tall, because the Jack Russell can jump. Okay.
Yeah, let me fix it.
And border collie is complete.
Hmm?
The other's border collie. So you might want to put the chicken.
Where are the kids when you need
2
them?
feet. I did that.
Seriously.
Don't ask me about
Our
that.
neighbor's dogs dug through everything
Yeah,
they'd be put in their way.
yeah, hardware cloth,
That's
put them
cool.
into the ground house.
Well, I'm hoping that this facility is there.
Yes, yes.
But chicken wire is a really good idea.
Well, they may be able to dig
Ask me the
through
question.
granite. If they can dig through granite, they will.
Yeah, let them run.
Well, the sense is to let them in and out in the morning and walk
I
them.
gotta use.
I mean, I'm not planning
I
on keeping
I like
these
the
guys.
fence.
They're not gonna hang out in the yard all day.
Looking
No.
fence.
I would do that to
The
my
only thing I
neighbors.
worry about is
Right.
this 14 high right in front of the house feels tall to me.
Yeah, I don't think in front of the house is gonna work. Yeah, that's.
Well, I'm gonna go over there with the tape measure, because I live right in your neighborhood.
It
So
could- I mean,
wanna
it-
see what 4 feet looks like. That feels high for something right in front of a house.
That was just kind of a real if down the road. The
Right.
fence is not to keep them in there all day long.
Yeah.
It's to let them out in the morning, so I don't have to get dressed and walk them.
Sure.
And then they'll do their business,
Yeah.
and then they'll come back in, and later on, we'll go for a walk. It's not a fence, to keep them in 24/7. It's a comfort fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also
Yeah.
think the fence with the comfort idea will look all right. It's the positioning that I'm concerned about. And I think this will work, and I think the fact that you've talked to your neighbors and that your neighbors have come up, in order to give the idea will certainly save a lot of hard feelings. And this is something that I will give relative a tentative yes to accept this, but we're gonna have to see you back in 2 weeks. And during that time, you can put the fence in. But I would be very careful about how far you are from the street, because, if it's, I would hate to see it, I would hate to have to say to you, I'm sorry, it's not gonna work. Before you do any digging and any fencing, that Stan is aboard on Tuesday, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
He's doing tomorrow, according to Linda, when I was asking her something else this afternoon.
Yes, he's in at 8 tomorrow.
He's in at 8 tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you bring him coffee, he would probably like that too.
Any other suggestions? A muffin?
And I wasn't trying to, again, I want to reiterate that I was not trying to, impede anybody's, I mean, I like
You could
dogs.
be saving a heartache.
What's
Yeah.
that?
You could be
Yeah.
saving,
Yeah,
saving
that's
a
right,
heartache.
Steve, it's
The
good.
first cloud that goes through,
Yeah.
cleans
Yes.
everything out.
I am really grateful that I know that. That would have been, I mean, I'm originally from the deep south, so the snow is still magical. and wonderful to me.
Well, I was thinking of that, Deborah, when I saw your car, Virginia Place, I'm going, oh God, then I saw this, and going, I hope the lady understands that there's a lot of snow, and that, a lot of snow gets pushed up this.
I think she does, Steve. I think we're.
This is where we are coming from, is that that's why we want people to come, the neighbors to come.
Excuse me, would you mind? We're trying to talk.
In that the local community is involved in making the decision or having input into it, that we don't see everything, and you get other input, other ideas, and like Steve said, he's not looking to, step on your parade, but avoid a situation down the road that you don't want to pay for something that's going to get run over. So it's while it's going to back you up 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I'm not even sure it's going to back you up 2 weeks if you get with
I
Stan.
mean, we could say, okay, we're going to approve it, providing that Stan is agreeable.
He's made aware of what we had talked about.
If he recommends, okay, you got to move it back 6 feet, or you got, that you go with his recommendation.
Which would save having to come back.
And you can let us know. You can let me know on the phone, and we will give you a temporary okay, with the caveat that in order to build it and put it in, you're going to have to see Stan to okay it, and set it up to your dogs in your most beneficial situation.
So we will approve the
Do we have a-
scope and design of the fence. The only thing in question is placement,
Okay.
based upon.
By Summer Street, along Summer Street, yeah.
Is the gate going to be similar to the sections of fence, or will the gate look
Oh,
the same?
yes.
Okay. Okay.
So do we have a motion at this point, or?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I will move that we accept the design of the fence as proposed, with the addition of post caps, and with the caveat that it meet the approval of the code enforcement officer as far as
The placement.
the placement and meeting the requirements of the town road ordinance.
I would, I'll wait for a minute, and then I'll have our secretary repeat that.
I know on the street you can't park on the other side of the street, and I get, that must have to do with the fact that the street is so narrow. Correct, okay.
Okay, so the motion is to accept the design of the fence as proposed with the addition of post caps and with the excuse me, with the caveat that it meets the codes enforcement officer's approval with regard to the placement. Is that? Okay.
Before you vote, if I could say one more thing, I'm going to suggest to her that we move it back from the street initially anyway. It's just common sense.
Yeah, I kind of thought you were going down that lane.
Well, all of a sudden, I realized snow, big piles of it. And I went, yeah, that can
Welcome
happen.
to the north.
And we've been getting really
Can and
big-
will.
really
I was
big
here last
problems.
winter, so,
I
yeah.
like building things, but not to have them destroyed.
Yes.
I am so grateful that that came out. And if you hadn't had done due diligence on that, it wouldn't have, and I would have been sitting with the fence. part
Well,
of it.
we have, our historic commission has a little bit of background experience on people putting up fences.
I bet you do. I've seen them in
Quite a
town.
bit.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So,
moving right along.
moving right along.
I will accept all those in favor of the motion as read by our Commissioner Secretary / coffee drinker. Show by approval of the right hand. All those in favor? Good. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you, Steve.
It's
Thank you for
been
bringing it up.
interesting.
I think it's really great that we work together. And again, this shows we can work together. Great. Moving along with what we have.
I'm looking at your dilemma here. Can go still there that are on Google Maps?
No, the people.
Pink flamingos.
People, no, they're not there.
They're not there anymore, okay. I'm looking at your dilemma.
I've lost it.
It is a dilemma.
Okay, number 4, old business. Discussion of the CLJ listing of historic properties. I tried to send you that comment or that paper from the Maine Historic Preservation about the fact that, let me get it. Just be a moment, folks, I have to figure out how to work this best. The grant, yeah. Have you had any experience writing for grants?
I have written some grants, not having to do with anything like this, but yes.
There is a grant that, we don't have any money. And in order for us to become a CLG, a certified legal, local town,
Government.
government, thank you. I knew that little voice would help. We have to list the properties. And what we're trying to do is to find some money on the grant. And I apologize for putting this because it's the date is 24 June.
There's no way this works, John.
I-
As I've
well,
mentioned a couple of times, there's no way this works.
Well, I know it doesn't work, but at least we can start the process.
We have to, it's a matching grant.
It's a matching grant, that's right.
And we have to
can
bill
at
money.
least start the process. If we just keep on waiting for something to work around here, it's not gonna get done.
Yeah, but I don't think this is the grant to go after, because it's a matching grant, because the deadline is 2 weeks away.
2 weeks away.
But surely there are other.
Pursue
grants.
other grants, certainly, yes, but this is not the one,
Have you got any ideas?
not off the top of my head.
Have we checked with Maine Preservation Maine or any of the New England Historic or whatever that, there's gotta be other resources that can steer us in the right direction.
Well, that's where we should talk to Megan Bailey, is that?
Mhm.
Megan is there with the Historic Preservation, and I have her phone number.
Okay.
And you can call her and say, we can't match. It's the same thing that we ran into last meeting
Send me
with
her
the,
info, John, and
with the
I'll call
downtown Maine.
Okay.
So you've got the experience, That's the reason that we got you.
Oh dear.
We're so devious. But would you look into that?
If you send me her info, yes.
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
and I'm sorry, you just came on board and I'm just,
It's okay.
I
I'm
should have
happy
sent you
to
this.
help.
And I do have the email from her and I will send it as soon as I get home.
Perfect. Yeah.
And that's the first part. Good for you, Gordon, thanks.
Okay, no problem.
All right, anything else that we would like to talk about, old business?
Is that the only major outstanding thing we need to do to become a CLG is the survey?
That's what I have, from what I talked about.
Was that all that was left? Because we never did get the definitive answer on the points that were lacking in the ordinance. She said there were several points that needed to be,
She gave us some of them when she was here. I don't know that she gave us all of them.
that's exactly right. And when John asked the question, what were the points? I understood that she hesitated to tell you any more about what was in that report until the town went to vote last month on the DOT project. And then answers would be forthcoming after that.
Yes, that's essentially what we've been working for. So I think we're gonna have to go and bang on their door and say, hey, look, we're ready, willing, and able, we need to know what you have. And I found Megan very, very open to a certain point, but she definitely waited until the election, or until, all the stuff sort of blew over.
Well, let's say her boss was waiting
Yeah,
to see what the outcome of the election was.
I think her boss was waiting. So I think this is the time, and again, we are
And
just
since-
hamstrung by the fact that we don't have any money.
Nothing that we have developed so far to input or to go on warrant for a town vote made it to go on the town vote this year. Those items that are needed on the ordinance to make it CLG acceptable, we've got between now and next town meeting posting to happen. And one of the things that needs to go in an agenda, not to be forgotten at a point, is to get into the town manager's input on a budget for this commission. Because the funding, anything that we were getting before, which was very little, was coming through the town planner. There is no town planner, so if we need funds, i.e. it needs to plan on funds for training, for grant matching, all of these things need to be budgeted before the town budget comes up, which is coming up this week. So now we've got to wait till next year again, so we'll operate another year without any kind of funding. So this is something that needs to be kept on the front burner
Absolutely.
until we get an answer of we can do it, we can't do it, or we'll tell you in 2020 whether you're going to get anything. Which will we get first? A bypass, the nuclear waste go away, or a budget for the Historic Preservation Commission?
Well, I think one thing we have to do with a new board coming in, and I'm assuming there's going to be a change, we're going to have to get up there and make a statement to the new selectmen.
Well,
And number one, as we all know, is that we sure need a town planner around here.
I attended the round table with all the candidates last Monday. And all of the candidates that are running are on top of and 100% in favor of getting a town planner back. There were several suggestions about the designation, but all the folks that are running are in favor. So whatever three managed to get in, there are three people that are going to be in favor of doing what they need to do, or attempting to do what they need to do, to reinstall or reinstate a town planner. But that doesn't mean it's going to happen.
We know that. Okay, so what we will do is that it's going to depend on you getting with Megan and talking to her and find out just exactly, knowing everything that's not going to be available to us, what we have to do in order to forward the progress. And probably, as I said before, she's probably waiting for the new board to walk in. So that, but you can always sit down and talk to her, or and call her. Good. Well said, Gordon. Well said. New business. Any new business? We're all dealing with a lot of old business.
I don't know if this would be considered new business or even appropriate to bring up, but the last meeting of the last PAC meeting, and Steve is there and also part of the parking subcommittee, there was a discussion that came up about the downtown streetlights and the choosing of streetlights that were, I think, a lot taller than had originally been expected. I think they were proposing, and Doug's proposing 16-foot streetlights for the village, which is not really part of the drawing or the plan. I think, and correct me, Steve, because you've been part of this for a long time, originally people were thinking they were going to get the same streetlights that were in downtown Bath. That's sort of what everybody was expecting, right?
Yes, which you can no longer get.
Well, that's not quite true though, because there.
I talked to Bath today. And
No, but we talked to Hollowell. In Hollowell, we found the company that provided those streetlights, which are really good looking. They're not exactly like Bath, but they look pretty close. And so I'm just wondering, I mean, is there any chance that the Historic Commission can weigh in on the final decision?
Not to be a lawyer, but I can't answer that question. I don't know, Leslie. I don't know.
Is it something that can we go before the PAC, or would we have to go before the select board before they make their final decision?
I think it would be best if we talk to, I can talk to the town manager and find out the path that is.
I think that where we left it at the PAC meeting was that Seaver was going to research some options and try to get some names and pricing, and so I think that's what he's doing right now. But I got the feeling that Ernie wasn't very keen, and maybe he was pushing back about budget, but I think it would be worth it to...
Well, one of the problems, and not to beat on this very long, one of the problems is if we wanted lamps that are like Bath, that we voted on in that poll that we took, then the state's only going to pay X amount, and if you want something like that, it becomes a special order, then it's going to be up to the town to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not where we were headed with this whole thing in the beginning, you know, was the town shouldn't have to pay a penny for any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it just jumped one step further. I went out and looked at this, Seaver was talking about, have the lights like the ones up on High Street, those three lights.
Yeah, those are nice looking too.
But those lights, I got the spec sheet on that the other day, they stand approximately 18 feet tall.
No, I don't think that's right,
It's-
Steve. I measured the pole.
It's
The
a
pole is only
it's a
9.
14-foot pole with a 42-inch lamp on top.
You measured the pole closest to the corner of.
The newest pole
The
we just
newest
put in.
one. I measured the older
And we
ones.
can't get the older ones, because
Yeah,
we're
the
not,
other ones you can't get.
we can't get them.
But we can get something comparable from this company that provided the lights in Hollowell. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is this scale needs to be appropriate for the downtown, and a really tall light won't look right. with-
Well, you've got streetlights down there now that set up almost 30 feet
I
high.
agree, but,
So,
you know, I mean, if we're gonna do it, I just feel like we should do it right. That's all.
No,
That would be
yeah,
nice.
I'm not, I'm not,
Can I ask you, I haven't gone to one of those meetings in forever because. And obviously a number of folks in town had their input into that monkey test thing that they wanted everybody to apply to. And they provided the information on what, okay, so now they find out that what the town selected is no longer available. So why isn't it their responsibility to put what's now, what is still available, or what they can get before the town, and let the town choose from what is now
they
available?
did provide that. They did provide a list of what is available now.
It didn't show up on the monkey list.
No.
No, that's what I'm saying. The town, they should be asking for the same input.
Yeah.
They can't get us what we asked for, so now we have to have another choice. So give us a choice. It's not, I don't, you know, I'm thinking it's DOT's job now. We said we'd do this for you, well, we can't. Well, here are now your choices, not take whatever we give you.
And that's what they said, and they said these are now your choices. That's what they gave us the other night.
Okay, and when will the folks get to pick it out?
You won't. It's gonna go from the PAC to the select board, and that will be it.
Well, somebody needs to put what is available out there so that the citizens can have an input to the select board. We're skipping the folks who made the first decision to start with. Or am I wrong?
No, I think you've got a point. I think it's,
There were some other,
yeah.
you know, varieties that were available that were similar. They just weren't exactly like baths.
Actually, the one that was a very, very close second was Hollowell.
The Hollowell lights would be perfectly fine. I think the height is nice, they look really great, they look great decorated.
Is that the one that they're giving us as a?
No, it's not.
That's not it?
No, we're still in the reconsidering stage, I guess, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Steve was gonna look into something, we're gonna
Yeah,
meet again,
yeah,
we are
it
meeting
is.
we're meeting again on the 18th.
Yeah,
To see what Steve came up with, and I've got a couple of feelers out there myself.
thanks, Steve. That would be great. I mean, I was worried because most of the folks on the PAC weren't very keen to the idea of Seabrook looking into options. But I think that this is one thing that's worthwhile trying to really make sure we do right, because it will make a big difference downtown if those lights are beautiful and they're historic and, you know, and not 16 feet tall and no glass. I mean, I think what they're proposing is they're over budget and they're trying to choose something that's less expensive. It's just my opinion, so.
Okay, yes, Steve. Steve, are you?
I think you've been trying
Yeah,
to
I
get a
don't-
word in
sorry,
edgewise
Jim.
first.
That's okay. I just wanted to let you know, I was at the PAC meeting as
Mhm.
well, and the issue came about because there's a new dark sky ordinance.
Yeah, but we can get a dark sky. The Hollowell lights are dark sky.
Well, but the Hollowell Street is not as wide as
Mhm.
Wiscasset Street is, and the lights have to cross at some point. And so the towers or the light poles needed to be taller, that is how I remember that.
Yes, but I think, Gina, what he was saying is they're taller so they can spread them out further, so they don't have to spend the same amount, they don't have to spend more money, because if they're shorter, they're gonna have to be a
They
lot
need
closer
the
together.
roadway to be completely illuminated.
Right, right.
And
But
and
the
it
mo-
wouldn't be completely illuminated with smaller lamps, with shorter lights, with using the dark sky technology. That's how Ernie put it.
Yes, but let's try to research, let's just spend a little bit more time on it. That would be my suggestion is
I
let's
think
see
you've
if
got
we
until
can-
next year, because they're not gonna start
Right.
working on the downtown
Yeah.
until then.
Okay, that's cool. I'm
Any
sorry,
other
I
new
opened that
business?
can of fish.
Good. No, thank you. We always like to open it to ideas and thoughts. All right, any other new business?
They're starting.
Looking about? I guess not. Next meeting will be Thursday, June 21st
Parking lot.
at 5 p.m. And I want to thank you all for coming. And I hope that we have achieved something that we can be proud of. So I will take a motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Don't rush, fellas. Okay. It's been moved and seconded. We adjourn. Thank you very much. Thank you for making those points. No, never hesitate. Never
I
hesitate.
don't, I don't.
I know you don't. That's
You're a local, basically.
Yeah.